gonna be real honest with you. If I hear something running at me and I can't see it, I am packing my things and moving immediately. So, with that being said, let's jump right into tonight's story. So, grab your favorite tea and settle in, and let me tell you another scary story because, of course, this is Tea After Midnight. This story comes from Kay. Hi, Savannah. I'm a huge fan of your TikTok series, and I figured I would share some stories of my own. This is going to be a long email with multiple stories, so feel free to break these up. I really hope you post about them because I'm curious what everyone thinks is going on within my house. I grew up in a historic neighborhood in Ohio. My house is 101 years old, and I'm typing this email sitting in the living room of said home. Growing up, I always had uncomfortable feelings at night, but never noticed anything crazy. That is, until I was in 6th or 7th grade. I distinctly remember being home alone, watching TV with my dog snoring next to me on the couch. It was a snowy evening, and it's worth noting that we have bells tied to the back door, so when the dog wants out, she can ring them. Suddenly, I heard the bells ringing frantically. Mind you, my dog is right next to me. Then I heard footsteps leading into the kitchen and the distinct sound of the pantry door slamming shut. I am so scared that I think someone broke into our house. I grab a pair of scissors and run to hide. When my parents came home, they found me hiding and I explained everything. My dad went to check on the door I assumed the intruder came in through, and what he said next was terrifying. "Kay, there's no footprints in the snow." I ended up assuming my imagination was running wild because I enjoyed watching spooky shows. However, one day a few years later, I asked my sister when we were home alone if she ever noticed anything unusual about our house. I was not prepared for what she told me. The first thing she did was tell me to be quiet and that we should go get food. On the way to the restaurant, she told me that we can never speak about the things that happen while we were actively in the house. She said she always noticed that things get worse after she does. She then went on to tell me a few of the creepy things that have happened to her. I am going to directly quote from a submission she sent to another online spooky storyteller. "Let me start off by saying I'm not sure if my house is haunted or just a place where things pass through ever so often. I have distinct memories of my childhood of blinds shooting closed on their own and periods of time where things were normal. The biggest and spookiest set of ghost happenings happened about 4, now 5 years ago, during my senior year of high school. It started when I was up late working on a school project. My twin brother came to tell me he was going to bed, and he walked out of the kitchen where I was. A few minutes later, I heard the distinct sound of the footrest of the recliner being snapped down. I assumed it was my brother and that he had sat down for a sec. I go and check, and yep, he went to bed 10 minutes prior to when he told me. I assumed if I didn't address it, it would just stop, right? Wrong. The next week, I'm at the side door waiting to walk out to the car, where my brother was waiting to go meet my parents for dinner. As I open the door, I hear something sprinting through the kitchen towards me. I make terrified eye contact with my brother that clearly conveyed my inner monologue of fear that an invisible boogeyman was about to run me down. I finally came to my senses and slammed the house door. Some time passes and it's now the very end of October if my memory serves me correctly. Buckle up because this is where it gets real. I need to describe what the layout of our house is like for you to properly visualize what comes next. Our kitchen has a back staircase that links up to the main staircase. It's super steep and runs right up to the dishwasher so we don't use it. It's just storage space where we keep kitchen appliances and beverages. The base of those stairs is directly adjacent to the countertop that has the dishwasher, the oven, and the sink. So I'm at the sink washing some pans from dinner late at night. I'm the last one awake. Out of my peripheral vision to my left, I can clearly see that staircase. I see a very clear shadow figure bent down with its hands on its knees, head cocked all the way to the side, staring at me. Well, I was not cool by being perceived by this spooky figure. I turned to confirm what I was seeing, and it's gone. I know this wasn't a trick of the light because this was a solid figure. I was so sure that I thought for a fact one of my siblings was playing a prank on me, but now there was nothing there. Weirdly enough, after that, everything stopped for a while. My younger sister, me, who's sending this email, started to experience things though, like her foot being yanked while sleeping at night after I went away to college. I try not to think about that when I go home and sleep in our shared room. She mentioned my foot being grabbed at night in her story, so the next story I'm going to tell you was around my sophomore year of high school. I was up late into the night after my parents had went to bed. Suddenly, I heard the distinct sound of metal scraping across the kitchen floor. Me being the first to debunk things, I went into the kitchen and found my dog's water bowl across the kitchen from where it usually is. Thinking it was just my dog who pushed it, which she has never done, I called her name. She ran downstairs, meaning that she was upstairs with my parents the whole time. I was so spooked that I called my sister and told her what happened. It is also worth noting that this is the same dog that would stare into empty corners in our house and growl. The final story I will tell you is the most recent encounter I've had. 2 years ago, I was up late again playing video games with my friends. It was around Christmas time, so we had our Christmas tree up. To turn on the Christmas tree lights, you have to step on this little red button. I found one online in case you're confused by that description. I was going to go to bed, so I went to turn the lights off. When you step on it, it makes a very distinct click. I stepped on it, it clicked, and the lights turned off. I turned to walk away, and about 5 steps away, I heard click. Scared out of my mind, I turned around, and sure enough, the Christmas tree was turned right back on. I turned the lights back off and ran upstairs to bed. I agree with my sister that things aren't consistent in happening. My dad is skeptical about our house being haunted. However, even he has a story where he thought he saw a figure lying on our couch at night before realizing everyone in the house was upstairs. I have never told my sister my theory about why things only really seem to happen consistently to us. Things only happen to my sister at first. However, when she started being out of the house more often during high school and eventually moved away for college, it seemed as if it moved on to me. Things then only happened to me. I am now moved out for college and am not home nearly enough to notice anything crazy. However, I will say whenever I'm on the phone with friends telling these stories, I usually hear a loud bang coming from somewhere inside the house. Rule number 1, don't speak about what happens while being inside the house. Kay, I do want to say that I definitely think your house is haunted. There are just too many things that have happened to you guys that can't just be explained away. I think the scariest part to me, like I said, was something running at your sister, and she couldn't see it. She could hear it physically running after her, but she couldn't see it. That freaks me out so bad. So the other part that really freaked me out was the Christmas tree. I could literally not imagine clicking it to turn it off, and as you're walking away, you hear it click, and then the lights come back on. I don't know what I would have done in that moment, but it would have absolutely sent shivers down my spine, because that is so scary to think you're walking away after clicking it off, walking away, and you hear a click. I would have froze and not been able to turn around. Oh, I almost forgot about the part where the shadow figure was on the stairs. Just kidding, I think that is the scariest part to me. She's standing there doing dishes. Okay, picture it, you're standing there doing dishes. Out of your peripheral, you see a shadow figure. You're looking at a shadow figure that's bent down, its hands were on its knees, its neck was bent crooked, looking at her. Absolutely not. No. But Kay, thank you so much for sending in your story. I really do hate that you guys have been going through this, and luckily now that you're off to college and your sister's moved out too, hopefully it kind of settles down and you guys don't have to deal with that anymore. But it is very, very strange, and anybody in the comments, if you have any idea what this could be or why it sticks in the kitchen, please let us know. But that does conclude this episode of Tea After Midnight. If you have any personal scary stories you want to share, I would love to read them. You can email me at the email on the screen or the email in the caption of this video. But as always, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have the best night. I love you, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.